Hello everybody, thanks for joining me. Today I'm tying a Bibio coloured variation upon the Diawl Bach. The hook in the vise is a size 12 wet fly hook from Hanak. The thread I'm using is UTC 70 in red, and for the tail and the beard hackle I'm using some black cock hackle fibres. I'm using two different colours of seal's fur to make up the body, black and red, just like you would on a Bibio. And you can see here I like to snip the corner off my bags of dubbing, and it makes it a little easier to pull it out without having to open up the top of the packet each time. To add a bit of sparkle, I'm using some opal mirage tinsel along the back of the fly, and I'm going to rib everything with some fine silver wire. And to finish off the head, we're going to give it a nice coat of lacquer. So let's get started. I'm casting on my thread just behind the hook eye, making a few turns to secure and snipping away the excess. I'm going to spin my thread flat here and lay down a nice smooth thread base all the way along the hook shank just up to the bend. Here I've taken a pinch of about 15 or so black cock hackle fibres, and I'm aiming for a tail length about equivalent to the length of the hook shank. I'm going to tie those in and check for length, and I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to tie in my rib, and I'm aiming to keep this on the side of the fly towards myself, and this is going to make it easier to tie in the flashback in a second. I'll park that out the way on my materials clip, and then I can come in with my opal mirage tinsel. As you can see, I'm aiming to keep this nice and central along the top of the hook shank. I'm going to spin my thread flat and go all the way back to the tail just to cover up any errant bits of flash that might show through the dubbing otherwise. On the topic of dubbing, that's our next job, so I'm going to come in with my first pinch of black seal's fur and dub on a nice tight sausage. I'm going to try and build a bit of a taper into this fly, so skinnier at the tail, building up to a slightly bulky thorax. Some people might call it heresy, but I'm actually going to trim down any straggly bits of seal's fur, so I'm trying to keep it really nice and tight. I've laid down my black section, so I'm going to come in with the red seal's fur to make up the middle. And I'm going to do it in a couple of pinches, taking it right down over the first black section, and gradually working towards the hook eye. The Diawl Bach is a classic nymph pattern, and here, by incorporating some of the traditional buzzer colours, the black and the red, to represent chironomids, we can make a fly that's a hybrid of the two, buzzer and nymph, and I find that it's a really effective general purpose pattern, especially for still waters. I particularly like to use it when the fish are taking things just subsurface, because it covers all bases really, between the buzzers, between the nymphs, between the midge larvae. And I just think that it's a very attractive pattern, got that little bit of red, little bit of a hot spot, a little bit of colour. Here I'm brushing back the long straggly seal's fur fibres, and I'm just coming in with my scissors and trimming down the body to a nice carrot tapered shape. And some people might call this heresy, but I like to use seal's fur in a number of different ways, and I think that by trimming it down like this you can make an almost felt-like appearance, which can work really nicely in the water. It's got a very soft, natural, buggy look to it. Now I'm going to bring along my flashback, and making sure that that's nice and central down the length of the hook shank, and I'm going to tie it off, double it back and secure it down. We can snip away the excess, and now I'm going to rib the fly, going to make about 5 or 6 even turns of my silver wire, and this is going to hold down the flashback, and just help add a little bit of sparkle and a little bit of definition to the fly. Here I'm using my bobbin holder to support the hook shank as I helicopter off the excess wire. And now we can turn the fly upside down and bring in a pinch of about 15 to 20 cock hackle fibres to make the legs. I like to tie these reasonably long, so slightly past the hook point. Some might fault me for style on that, but I think it gives a little bit more action in the water. And I'm just going to trim away the excess and secure those down. Now I'm just going to build up a little bit of a head to the fly. You can switch to a different colour of thread at this point if you'd like. Fluorescent orange in particular can make a really nice hot spot. But I'm happy with the red. I think it works nicely with the colour scheme. So I'm going to come in with my whip finisher and tie off. Pull down and trim away the excess thread. I'm going to come in with a little bit of varnish and just lacquer the head of the fly. This helps make it a little more durable and also gives a nice glossy effect to the head. I'm not too particular about putting it in the hook eye. You can always clear it out. Some people say to use the dubbing needle, but I think that that's a bit slow, so I much prefer to use a bit of old hackle stem and just poke that through to draw out the excess varnish. And there you have it, that's the finished fly, a Bibio coloured Diawl Bach. It's a great still water pattern, so give it a go. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.